In this section, we are discussing about error handling in JavaScript. There will be 6 relative questions to this topic. Error handling is one of the very important concepts in any programming language. When you write the code, it may have errors at runtime. In case if error appears, the program will break. It will stop the execution in between. Ideally, you should write the code with proper validations, but still there are some unforeseen situations where the program breaks in between. In such cases, the end user is stuck. Ideally, what should happen is that when the program faces errors, even after validations, it should handle it and notify the user with proper error details like error number and description. Enough of lecture. Let's practically try few codes here. Say for example, I am writing let a is equal to 10. Then I'll say console log. I want to display the value. Now here I say let b is equal to 50, but there is a space missing. Again I say console log and we display the value. Let's run the code. Now as you can see that the error is displayed, the code is broken in between. The code stops the execution in between. To handle this kind of situation where you do not face any error at the compile time, but let's say at runtime if you face any error, then you can use the try catch block. The syntax of try catch block is like this. So let's try the same thing here also. I'm going to use the try block here. Now I'm going to shift the code in the try block and then we will have the catch, and here I just display a message that error found. The error object is always passed with the catch block that we will see in a moment. Let's run the code and see now what happens. Now as you can see that it has displayed a message that the error is found. Here the catch block has one parameter passed, which is an object. This we call as the error object. This object also has properties like name, message, or even stack. Let's check all the properties here. I will say console log error.name, error.message, and error.stack. Now let's run the code. This displays the error name. This is the error message, and this is the error stack where it gives you the idea, the link of all the codes executed. Now in this case, still the error is of the language, that is the JavaScript language, and it is generated by the system which you are handling using the try catch block. It might also happen that you have a validation in the program, a custom validation, which should generate the error. In short, you want to generate or throw your own custom errors. You have the throw operator which you can use to generate your own error. The syntax is like this. We use the throw, then we have the error object, where this error object can be of class error, type error, syntax error, or any other predefined error. Let's try this practically as well. For example, we need to have age greater than or equal to 18. If it is less than 18, then we want to generate a new error saying age error. So I'll say let a is equal to 8, let age error. Now this is going to be the object where I'll say equal to new error. Error is the class from which this age error object is created. Now I'm going to put this code in try block. I will say try. If a is less than 18, I'm going to say throw age error. Else I'm going to display a message saying that it's a valid age. Let's have the catch block, and inside this I'll say console log invalid age error. Let's run the code and see what happens. Now this is the new error raised by the throw statement. You can also pass error message inside the error class constructor. Let's say instead of having this invalid age error here, I will pass a message saying invalid age, but I am passing it in the constructor of error class. and then I'm going to display error.message. Let's run the code. Now you see that the text which we passed in the error class is the message of this error. Instead of creating the object, you can directly use the throw statement to generate an error. Let's try a type error example. Now I'm going to remove this age error, throw age error as well, and then I'll write here throw new type error, and here I'm going to say invalid age. It's just that we are writing everything with the inline syntax and we are not creating any new object for this. So I'll say throw new type error, that's it. Let's also add one more statement here, console log error.name. Now type error is a JavaScript error, so we will get both the name and message together. Let's run the code. Here it is. Alright, the way we have tried the try catch block, there is one more block which can be added with try catch or even without catch, and that is the finally block. The syntax is like this. We can have the try statements, catch statements, and finally, or even without catch, that is something like this where we have try and the finally block. The code placed in the finally block is executed at the end of the block and it is always executed. Let's try the same thing here. I'm going to add just a finally block here and writing finally code. Now let's run the code. As you see that error is thrown, but at the same time, after everything is done, the finally block is executed. So finally is something which we use when we have the finishing code, right? The finalizing code. At that time we use the finally block code. You can also put nested try catch if needed, like this. Mostly try catch is always handled at a specific code level. It's not advisable to have a global try catch, though all the code structures and programmers' approach vary. But generally we see that more and more validations we put in our program, and then in some unexpected, unforeseen situations, we try to have the try and catch. Sometimes we also see that we create an error log inside the catch block as well. Let's discuss the relative questions of this topic. The first question is, when do you need try catch? So try catch is something which, of course, first of all is handled at runtime, right? So when you see that the code executed is expecting some unforeseen situations, some portion of code needs to be managed properly so that the program doesn't stop in between, then you use the try catch block. It's all about handling the error without breaking the code execution. The second question is, how can you generate an error? So you can generate your custom error using this throw statement, right? As I mentioned, error, type error, syntax error, all these. So you have your custom error with the error class like this one, or the type error and syntax error, or any predefined JavaScript error class can also be generated using throw statements. The third question is, can you generate syntax error or reference error kind of predefined JavaScript errors? Yes, as I just mentioned, these are the predefined JavaScript errors, but you can use the throw statement to raise the JavaScript built-in errors as well. The fourth question is, what is the purpose of the finally block? So the finally block contains the code which is always executed whether there is an error or there is no error in the code. So if there is an error, the catch code is executed, but finally code is something which is always executed. So finally contains code which does some finishing work, or some code which ought to be executed, we put it in finally block. The fifth question is, how can you refer to the name or description of error? So inside the catch block, we have seen that this is the ERR object, or whatever you name it. Inside this, there is always the error details passed. So you can say error dot, that is this object dot name or object dot message to get the name and description. The sixth question is, can we have finally block without a catch block? Of course we can have, not necessary that we always have a catch block. Now when this kind of situation happens, let's say you have some piece of code where you just want to let go with the error, right? You do not want the catch block to handle it, and then finally is there to execute something. So you can have like this, try and the finally. This is how you can write it without a catch block as well.